Hey guys, Casey Scanlon here. We're going to talk some jigs real quick. I got two of my favorites here. This is the Trophy Bass Company Pro Jig, and this right here is the Trophy Bass Company Swim Jig. These are two jigs that I always have on my deck or in my rod locker, never go anywhere without them. And in fact, these are two of my favorite colors. Just pulled them right out of the rod box here. This one is Magic Craw. And the thing about Trophy Bass Company and these jigs is I designed them, and basically designed them out of necessity. I couldn't find what I needed as far as colors and just, you know, all around jig. And I designed the Pro Jig basically because I wanted a jig that I could pretty much do anything with. Fish it shallow, fish it deep, you know, no matter what kind of cover or structure I come across. I didn't really have to, you know, want to pick up another jig or tie another jig on, have two or three, you know, in the boat at all times. So this is kind of a do-it-all jig. You know, it's kind of got a rounded nose here, so it'll snake through cover, go through brush real well. It also has a stand-up jig head, so it'll kind of stand up off the bottom here with this flat bottom. And I also designed it to skip real well. So whether it's a boat dock, a brush pile, a deep ledge, that's terrible. But basically, you know, we designed this jig out of necessity. So, you know, it's a kind of an all-around jig. It'll do anything you want, whether you want to skip it under a boat dock, throw it in a brush pile, or work it out on a deep ledge. You know, as a structure jig, it'll kind of do it all. You know, it has a keeper right here that you can see. I'll slide that off of there. And that'll keep all of your plastics on there, so you're not going through plastics. You know, you don't have to go through a bunch of trailers. You know, I can pull down on this and it's not going anywhere. It comes on both the swim jig and the Pro Jig. But that keeper is really important. That's a feature that's not in a lot of other jigs. And also the hook. You know, the most important part of a jig is the hook. And I was sick of buying jigs that had, you know, hooks that I didn't think were quite up to par. So this is a Gamakatsu hook that I've been pouring in some homemade jigs for a long time. You know, it's kind of got a slight bend upward. You know, a lot of these hooks, you know, kind of bend downward in some of these jigs. Hooks them in the top of the lip every time. You know, it's very rare that you're going to lose a fish on this jig. So very important feature, the hook, the wire keeper, and as you can see here, it kind of has a double skirt collar. And what that does is the skirt collar is, you know, designed just for this rubber keeper or skirt keeper that comes on here. So your skirt's not going to slide down. You know, I have a lot of problems before with skirts sliding down, so it's going to stay snug to the jig. And with this double collar right here, you can actually add a rattle. So it's a very versatile jig. You can pretty much do whatever you want with it. Always on my deck, fishing it, you know, 360 days a year basically. You know, this thing will get it done for you. You're going to catch a lot of fish. Very snag resistant, weedless. You know, just a great lure. You can fish it around boat docks, rocks, ledges, grass. You know, you can swim it around. It's kind of a do-it-all jig. So it's the one I put on my deck, and just any kind of cover I come across, that's what I'm picking up. Now, the second jig that we've got out here from Trophy Bass Company is the swim jig. It comes in a 1/4 and a 3/8 ounce size. We have several different colors. This one right here is greenback shad. It's one of my favorites. As you can see, it's missing some skirt material here because it's got a lot of bites for me this week. But it's a great jig. It's designed after a northern style swim jig, which I really like. You know, because they have this pointy kind of cone-shaped head. They snake through cover. I mean, it's like an all-terrain vehicle. You're never going to get it snagged, whether it's bushes, you know, grass, which is predominantly what you're fishing around, boat docks. I mean, the thing's going to run true and it's not going to hang up. But what I didn't like about the northern style swim jigs is that they all had a really, you know, small hook. And this right here is a big 5/0 hook. It's super sharp. You know, it's sturdy. I use 40-pound Maxima braid on it. So, you know, with braided line, and usually I'm fishing this around grass or bushes, and always on braided line. And when you'd hook a fish on some of these other swim jigs, you'd straighten out the hook because it wasn't strong enough. So we put a big hook in there. It's got the same wire keeper where I can pull on this, and it's just, look, I ripped the tail off before I can pull it off the bait. I mean, it's not going to go anywhere. So I can fish it around all sorts of cover, and you know, your trailer's not going to pull down. You know, the fish aren't going to pull it off there. They may bite the tail off, but they're not going to pull the trailer off of there. So it's going to save you some money trailer wise. And you know, the other problem with some of the northern style swim jigs or the cone shaped heads is that they would tend to roll. Like when you would put a double tail trailer on there, they'd kind of run off to the side a little bit. And so what I did was I made the top part of this jig flat. So the bottom is still, you know, cone shaped, you know, real narrow head. So it helps it snake through cover and not get snagged. But the top is being flat, kind of keels this bait, and it allows it to run straight every time. So it's the truest running jig that I've ever used. It's a really great jig, and you know, if you like throwing swim jigs, you need to get this one. It's the best I've ever thrown, and it's really worked out great.